Okay, we got an update. K750 is now a K1500 again. I got the frame all welded in. It turned out pretty good. It doesn't look too bad. I figured it is what it is. It's just going to be a work truck. But it's starting to not look too bad. I mean, paint's still decent shiny, and as far as the frame goes now, it seems pretty solid. I got her all cleaned up and coated here. I just used a rubberized undercoating. I got it nice and clean and sprayed it down with a rubberized. I think it was made by Cyclone or something. It seemed to do a pretty decent job. It just making a coating over that metal, so there's no way for water to get to it. It doesn't look too bad under here. The bed and stuff's still a little rusty. I'm gonna try to find some kind of rust converter, I think, to spray on that. I really don't feel like going through the process of wire wheeling all that off. I might clean it up a little bit, spray some kind of converter on there. I hear products have come a long way in rust conversion, that type of stuff. These shocks I'll be replacing. They're just in here for now. They really don't work very good. I mean, obviously they look pretty bad too. But the exhaust air is fairly new. I did have to make a few welds. I cut it out of there when I did I had the frame cut out of here. Like I said, this part of the frame all looks pretty good. In the video, that looks like a rust hole, but this here looks like a rust hole, but it's not. This truck has solid cab mounts and everything on this back part of the frame. I picked this frame section, both rails all together with the leaf springs. I picked this up from a junkyard for $150. I know someone's going to say something about my U-shackles here. My girlfriend had ran to the store for me, and she didn't know if I needed round or square. These are just temporary. Don't knock me on throwing a little tack weld on this plate to hold them into place just so I can move it back and forth once the rims and tires are back on it here. Before I really drive it around, I'm going to get the square top U-shackle bolts here. I might even go with GM factory stuff just so to make sure they fit nice. Where I got the frame welded together, it's about, I would say 2 feet up the cab. You get in this area. What I did, okay, it's really hard to see with this light. I got a fish plate here on the outside. I went ahead and real hot, I did a 3-pass MIG on all of that. Now, on these Chevys, these frames, they're not exactly C-channel. They indent, change angle a little here, and then come back to vertical. So on the plate, I perforated it on the inside. I made a line about 2/3 of the way through it, put it in a vise and bent it. Did the same thing here, and then I just filled them again, filled them in with weld. I've heard from a few people not to weld the whole way around that fish plate to allow some flex. Now, as far as it goes on that, the frame I think is going to flex enough on its own. And with this here, I mean, it's not really going to have a lot of flex in the first place, but I did leave the top and the bottom a gap in there to allow a little bit of flex. On the inside of the frames, I'll crawl across here. Okay. On the inside of the frame, let's see if I can get the camera to focus. Right there we go. I got 30-degree key on both sides. Through here, meet in the center, come up and around the top. Like I said, 3-pass MIG. I got it nice and hot. I've heard people say arc weld versus MIG weld on frames, As far as that goes, if you get good penetration, in my opinion, penetration is penetration on a weld. You do a 3-pass MIG. This frame is less than 3/16 steel originally. My fish plates I put in were full quarter inch plate. And like I say, contouring it from the outside like that, I'm sure added a lot of strength. Let's see, let me crawl back out from under here. It's a little tight being so low to the ground. But here's another look at the back of my mending plate. Like I say, 3-pass MIG. Look here we go. Here's a perfect example. See this dripping right here, this water dripping down. It's coming down through the bed. I guess it's following the frame down here and dripping down. I'm gonna want to take care of that as much as I can. I might spray a bed liner in there to try to stop that water from coming down through and just sitting on the frame. But this bed, as far as that goes, is pretty beat up, dented and whatnot. I might just try to find a plastic bed liner, maybe on Craigslist or something here. Like I said, yeah, she's a truck again. I'll take you around back and show you the lines here. Now I'm a carpenter by trade, so I know how to measure and make sure everything's square and everything. Issues I had with this truck, getting everything lined up where I wanted it. One, the paint job, the black was done when the truck actually had a frame problem. And the body lines themselves, even on the door panels, the pinstriping here, this is a hinge pin problem here. I think I can fix this with just putting a set of hinge pins in there. My back line here, you can see it might be, I don't know, 1/4 inch. It's less than half my pinky finger. The bed's a little low, and I looked at it and I said, well, I'd like this to line up a little bit better. Part of it is the paint job, the pinstriping actually, not really the paint job, but the pinstriping was really poorly done. I could show you on the other side how this pinstriping comes down the body and across the door, and it is a little crooked, even here where it meets the cab, so I can't really follow that. And this side, again, there's maybe a 1/4 inch difference. Instead of shimming the bed and doing all that, I looked into what's causing that little 1/4 inch there, and what I found down here on these, here's my fish on the other side, the cab mounts have been modified, just like a lot of Chevys. This rots out. Now this part of the frame looks really bad, but it's just scale rust, it's just salt. It does have a lot of good solid metal under there, but these mounts, I'm going to work on these. Somebody took a 1/4 inch plate, laid it on the top, and did a couple spot welds, and I think that's where I'm picking up my 1/4 inch from. So I didn't put these bolts back in yet. I'm going to try to figure something out. This back body mount, it's not, this 1/4 inch is not letting it come down that 1/4 in the back. And on the other side, the same mount on the other side is also bad. So I'm thinking maybe fabricate a mount. I could easily make this mount, grind it down, re-weld it right where I want it, and make a whole lot of mess just disappear. The rest of the frame is rock solid. Looks like hell, but really isn't all that bad. Like I say, it looks pretty bad, but that is just absolutely rock solid. I just replaced all the fuel lines and all the brake lines on here. I had a fuel leak, and I figured, well, where there's one, there's others, and the brake lines were shot as well, so I just went ahead and bent up some new lines and took care of that. Like I said, I'm going to spray a rust converter or something on any of this before I do any undercoating. Yeah, and I'm going to make a decent truck out of something. I got this bumper at a junkyard there, $45 for the bumper, $150 for the frame section, both sides, leaf springs, everything, which gives me a lot to work with, having another set of leaf springs and everything as backup. Well, yeah, let me show you the interior here again. I got it cleaned out a little bit. Have a few tools here in the back, but battery chargers and stuff like that. But these seats are in awesome shape, and they are really, really comfortable here. Let me hop up in. Yeah, it's your classic red Chevy Silverado. Mileage, I think, is 172 on there. All the gauges work just fine. I made sure, one thing to point out, I've heard from guys, if you don't disconnect your battery when you're doing any kind of welding, your gauges can jump around, so that's something to remember. You don't want to ruin your gauges or any kind of computer, so make sure you disconnect your battery before you do any type of welding. And I'd suggest in a project like this as well, pull the gas tank out and make sure the lines have, had enough time to evaporate and everything before you do any welding, serious welding that close to the gas tank. But yeah, this I think the truck's really going to be decent for winter time. Like I said, that's what it's going to be, is a winter work truck for me, and maybe kind of just a toy, something to work on, when I'm bored, I just come out and take a work on a truck, I can pop the hood here and show you. I did a fuel pump, filter, all that. Rebuilt the TBI. I had a running rich issue, and I still kind of have a little bit of a rich issue. I've changed the coolant temperature sensor. I hear a lot of guys saying coolant temperature sensors on these are real important. But I changed that, and it really didn't change much. Maybe look into map sensor. I mean, it runs really strong as far as that goes. The catalytic converter's been removed, and that can contribute to a few things as well. Under here, they did a new exhaust. The people that I got the truck off of, and this is at least full 3-inch. Back to it looks like a Flowmaster back here. Full 3-inch, no cat. It just comes out of the stock manifolds, comes across and dumps in. Pretty clean work they did on the exhaust. I'm going to do some work myself under here, just cleaning this up. Most of this looks pretty good. Your classic Chevy problems as it goes, just the rust from living here in Pennsylvania. You get a lot of this rust and dirt road driving and stuff like that. But the cross members look pretty good. The motor is solid, doesn't leak anything. 4-wheel drive works. Like I said, it's a pretty truck once you get it all cleaned up and everything. But like I said here, the motor pretty clean. I flipped the cap here the other day. I've heard a lot of guys saying that this is just too restrictive through here and to flip the cap. And I'll tell you, just idling the truck here, it definitely does seem to make a difference when you throttle it up. It definitely throttles faster and a little more throaty. I don't know what it's going to do on the road yet. I'm waiting on my rims and tires to come back. But yeah, this is it. She's looking pretty good. Like I said, it's been a project for a little while now, and I'm glad that I got it back together, and it looks decent. Like I said, I wasn't looking for perfection. I was just looking for this frame to be really strong, which again I may take some 1/4-inch plate here and box this in. In the future, under there I may just do a little bit of boxing where my welds are and stuff, but for now, that's the project, and I'll get you an update when I can here. Thanks for watching.